Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here, and welcome back to another U.S. weather forecast outlook and discussion. In today's video, we're going to be going over the mid to long range pattern. Can we see a ton of cold air spill into the U.S., bringing the risk of snow quite far south, or are we going to see the return of that southeast ridge, pumping in some of your warmer temperatures, and maybe even a severe weather risk? Find out all of this and more in today's video. So as we start off with our current analysis here, we're taking a look at a ton of lake effect snow in a ton of different areas and a relatively strong clipper system right within here that is sliding off to the southeast like this. It almost does look like we're seeing some moderate to heavy snow in portions of Wisconsin, down near Chicago, some snow as well. I'm not sure if all this is hitting the ground, but if it is, it certainly is going to start looking like a winter wonderland out there in no time. Then you could see intense lake effect snow off of Lake Huron, Lake Erie there, we have a few dominant bands, and then Lake Ontario, we have a ton of snow there as well. Now, as we head to our alert map here, things are a lot calmer than they were the past few days. We're still talking about winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up here along the Great Lakes, in the Appalachian Mountains, and in your lake effect snow impacted areas, where we are definitely going to be talking about a lot more snowfall. And then we also cannot forget about our flood watches down here in Southern California. We're going to have a pretty big storm system move through those areas in a few days. And that's what we're really going to have to watch out for, the risk of strong winds and very heavy rainfall in some locations. But our lake effect snow machine is going to be cranking over the next few days. You can see our winter storm severity index here. We're talking about moderate to major impacts across Oswego, New York, and other areas around there. And then just some moderate impacts here to the southwest of Buffalo and then over Erie. Those areas likely will not be seeing snow that is as intense as Ontario will be, but still, please exercise some caution if you have to be on the roads. Now, as we head into tomorrow, it looks like we're going to have another really big system swinging through. Lake effect snow is going to ramp up in a big way. Moderate to definitely heavy lake effect snow across a ton of different areas here. You all need to stay very weather aware out there. It looks quite dangerous. We could be talking a lot of snow in the picture tomorrow and maybe some gusty winds. And as we take a look here on day 3, we're still talking about moderate impacts here in Lake Ontario. Lake Erie, not as much, but near Buffalo could see a few isolated bands, but it looks like things should really try and calm down, hopefully. But we may see another round even after this, so there's a lot to bear watching. As we take a check at our HRRR model here, you can see our lake effect snow machine really starts cranking. We have our big clipper system that is overperforming a little bit here, moving across the Midwest. But look at this really intense lake effect snow band from Toronto, Rochester, Syracuse, New York. That looks quite significant. We're going to be talking about heavy snowfall in a consolidated areas over hours and hours and hours on end. And that's going to cause some issues. And you can see very heavy snow, absolutely dumping snow across Syracuse as we head into later on tonight. That is going to stay very dominant there. And again, this does begin to shift off to the north as we head into tomorrow, but then we have another round of snow moving through and very significant snow squalls that could set up. Look at this right here, and especially this one down here racing through Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, portions of Maryland. This snow squall down here probably is going to contain some pretty strong gusty winds and blinding 0-mile visibility. This is going to be a very dangerous snow squall down here. Look at this really well-defined line. Almost looks like a severe thunderstorm moving south with how consolidated that feature is. That is going to bring a lot of travel impacts, even moving into Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, going into tomorrow night possibly. And then we have a low pressure system that forms pretty gradually here, right on top of the Cape of Massachusetts. That's a weird looking L right there. And that's going to be dumping some moderate to heavy snow and then going up into Maine as well. So then late tomorrow night. And that continues on through, could see pretty strong gusty winds, portions of Maine. Then our lake effect snow machines crank right back up again. Syracuse, Rochester could see another very significant round of lake effect snow as we head into Thursday afternoon. Having to keep looking at the time down there, because this is going to be lasting for a very long, exceptionally long amount of time. And you all, you need to stay safe out there, right? Now, I thought yesterday would be the last day we'd have to look at these maps, but things just keep getting worse, right? My goodness. We're looking at our expected snowfall totals from our National Weather Service, our forecast. You can see across some areas here, Houghton, Michigan, around 2 to 5 inches, Munising, around 5 to 8 inches, Grand Marais, around 6 to 10 inches, and some isolated portions could be over a foot, and even near Sault Ste. Marie here, also around a foot of snow. And again, conditions could get quite impactful and quite significant out there. Gaylord, Michigan, we're talking around 4 to 11 inches, quite a big range, but lake effect snow bands kind of, can go up and down and left and right and just all over the place. It's really hard to tell what happens with these events sometimes. Here's our more impacted regions down here. Cleveland, Ohio, 4 to 7 inches. That area right within there, and then even off to the east, look at that, 5 to 17 inches. Erie, 7 to 20 inches of snow. That's very significant. Edinburgh, 8 to 19 inches, and then we're going to head on up to the most impacted zone here as we move through our slides right about now. And yes, this is when stuff gets really significant. This is our crush zone, if you will. Look at this down here, portions of areas south of Buffalo, if I can talk. It seems like I have trouble with that sometimes. Talking around 25 to 30 inches of snow. Holy smokes, that's through Saturday morning. Look at up here. Oh my gosh. Look at near Oswego, New York, Pulaski, New York, around 40 inches of snow. You cannot make this stuff up if you've tried. Look at that contour line there. That is a ton of snowfall. Some of your higher elevations will definitely be seeing 3 feet of snow. Could we see 4 feet? I don't really think so. But again, we'll hold fast on that because there's a chance of even more lake effect snow after this as well. Round after round after round of lake effect snow is going to be possible. Now, taking a look further on off to the southeast here, Syracuse only going for 4 to 8 inches, so it looks like things have significantly shifted away, though we'll have to see. Our totals could come climbing right back up, and I did decide to turn on the ranges this time so that we could see our uncertainty. Sodus around 6 to 12 inches. Oswego, New York, 10 to 34. That's a range and a half. That's a range of only 24 inches. Only 24. There's not a difference between 10 and 34, is there? Yeah, there definitely is. And then you can see some isolated locations, upwards of 3 feet of snow being possible to the northeast of Oswego. Now that we got all that out of our hair, it's time to take a look at our long-range pattern here. So we're going to take a look at our European model, our surface temperatures, and look at all this cold air. This is just crazy, isn't it? And you can see as we move through time, very cold conditions in Minnesota, temperatures between -10 to -15 degrees as we go into Thursday morning. That's a big old Arctic outbreak up there, right? And you can see it does kind of impact portions of the south and southeast. Down here across your deep south regions, we're talking about temperatures closing in on 80 degrees. So I guess get those bathing suits on or something. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really warm, even borderline hot down there. I mean, it's not that uncommon at this time of year, but I know you want some of the cold at least because you're tired of the heat. And you can see a very sharp divide here between all your cold air right here and then some of your warmer, milder air down here. And that's going to be kind of a trend where we do see this divide set up. As we move on through into Saturday and Sunday, there's another bit of a cold front that moves through, but after this, it will become a lot more uncertain. According to the European model, we do see a big warm-up across the southeast and the deep south regions, in between your 60s and your 70s all the way down here. Definitely going to feel nice out there. Even creeping into portions of Tennessee, we could see some 60-degree readings, so that's going to be good if you really like the warm weather, right? But as we move into, a little bit later on, this is starting to not really become as much of a forecast here. Look at that, near 70 degrees in West Tennessee. So will it be cold or will it be warm? That is a very good question, and we don't really know that yet. Look at this warm weather. It's like what we just had a few days ago. I mean, this is just outrageous. But then our cold air does try and seep through at the end of the model run. I think personally, as we head into mid-January, we're going to see everything shake up and we're going to see a lot of cold air. And by a lot, I mean a lot of cold air up here that is going to be crashing down south into the US. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It's not a forecast, but a very big Arctic outbreak or two cannot be ruled out as we head into mid to late January. Something to really keep your eyes on. Our GFS model, it seems like it runs mostly the same kind of story here. You could see as our frames stop glitching, our big warm up here across Texas. I mean, this is ludicrous. 87 degrees near San Antonio. Oh, goodness gracious. That is very warm, hot out there. And then let's take a look further on. Again, it stays really warm across the Gulf. But then as we head further into time, and I'm really thinking it's going to be around the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th when we're going to start to see things warm up, potentially a lot more significantly. Again, not a forecast, but I'm starting to notice a bit of a trend here. In the GFS model, 84 degrees in Wichita Falls, Texas. What? That's northern Texas. That's not southern. That's like summer conditions in northern Texas, southern Oklahoma. You all are going to be baking out there. Again, like I said, you may want to open those swimming pools back up again because it's looking warm. And I mean, this just continues. 86 degrees down here in central Texas. It's just hard to explain, right? I mean, that is so warm. And then again, our warm temperatures continue according to our GFS, and it's just there's no end in sight. Spring is here. We're going to have buds on the trees. Pretty soon, we're going to have leaves on the trees at this rate. What is happening? You can see 70s across a lot of the central US, and then it finally starts impacting Tennessee a bit. I do think our warmest temperatures will be mostly south of Tennessee, though, and if you were to draw a line after that, then here we go. The gates open up. We're talking about temperatures down to negative 35 possible up there in portions of Canada. And this was our really big Arctic outbreak I was talking about. Something of the lines of this, just crashing to the south and really pushing that freezing line further and further. And if we get an active storm system to the south, we could have a big snowstorm on our hands, but not a forecast, just an observation I wanted to make here. So again, I really do think we're going to see our cold air flood back into the picture into mid to late January. I'm really glad I don't live up there. That is absolutely stupid cold. I mean, that's basically deadly up there. And then whatever happens after that, summer tries to return, I guess. Welcome to January, but I think it'll cool off eventually. Precipitation through this time frame, we're going to have a ton of energy flying around, and I know I said this in yesterday's video, but I'll say it again. We have something down here, doesn't do much, but then as we progress through time, we do have a little bit of a system in the northeast, but again, the European model stays really warm, so the energy that flies around is going to be very wet, very rainy in nature. And you could see a decent storm system developing here. Look at that. We could actually be talking about some severe weather with a setup like this, and a ton of warm air moving on northward like this ahead of it. So that's kind of crazy. And it's such a dynamic system, but you don't see snow on your northern side because of just how warm it's going to be. Ew. Now, I know if you live in these areas and you hate snow, you're probably really happy right now. But for someone who wants snow, not at all. Just give me the snow already, right? You can see it staying cold out west, which that's to be expected if you're going to see warm out east. More severe weather. This, wow, I mean, are you kidding me? All you can really get here is some light snow flurries in East Tennessee. That's the best that this model can do. That's really sad. However, I would like to say this storm system here, if that forms a lot earlier, we're going to have a whole different ballgame on our hands. Like I said in yesterday's video, if we can slow down our pattern, if we can kind of pump the brakes a bit, we might get some more action involved. In order to pump the brakes, we need to take a look at our upper level steering patterns, though. So we're taking a look at our pressure patterns aloft, and it looks very confusing. Looks like a bunch of like spaghetti and salad. I don't know what these colors are, but it looks like someone painted all over the screen, right? It's paint spilled everywhere. You have no idea what's going on, but I'm going to explain to you in simple terms when we get to our time frame of interest. You can see our big warm up here, our big ridge of high pressure that is developing here. You can kind of see how your winds kind of do something like this aloft, and then you'd imagine on the southern end of it, they do something like this. Because a high pressure spins clockwise. That's basically how it works in meteorology. As we continue to go through time, again, this is our big warm-up. We have a lot of troughing back out to the west, so a lot of cold air and stormy air to the west. As we head towards mid-January, though, things really begin to change quickly. We're talking about a lot of troughing back out to the east. Look at this big old trough right here that's kind of digging down like this, suppressing a ton of cold air. That is something we need to watch out for. But I'm going to point out a couple or a few key features on this map here. And you don't need to know what the abbreviations mean yet. We're not that advanced. But I just want to kind of show you all what the pattern is showing. So up here, we have a negative NAO. What is this going to do? This is going to cause higher pressures, warmer temperatures in your Arctic regions. So basically this causes a lot of blocking up here. So that's going to cause, some of your cold air to be displaced and kind of come down like this into your US, right? Basically, that's pretty simple. Out here, you have a positive PNA. You have a spiking ridge going all the way up to Alaska, and you have a negative EPO up here. So again, a positive PNA and a negative EPO up here. All of your ridging out to the west is going to force all of your cold air to come funneling down like this into your US, right? That's basically how it works. It basically creates an avenue for your cold air supply, a cross-flow pattern. And then, what if we get, say, a storm system down here, a Baja low is what they'd call this. If we see something down here tracking off like this, then suddenly you have a pretty big snowstorm across a large portion of your mid-Atlantic and your southeast US. Again, keep that in mind. So if we get a very favorable pattern like this and we see a storm system out here, it's game on almost immediately. So that is why we're having a lot of trouble trying to figure out this pattern. But we really think, again, by mid-January, we're kind of kicking the can down the road a bit. I get that, but I think eventually we're going to get into a favorable pattern, whether that be mid or even late January. And not trying to spend too much time, but our level of concern is still quite high because of what's going on in our Great Lakes, so I can spend a little more time on this video without kind of feeling a bit bad about it. We're talking about our 850 millibar temperatures, basically our lower level temperatures. I want to see where our -2 degree freezing line is, and you can see really does dive pretty far south in our latest EPS ensemble here. It goes all the way down here now. Whereas yesterday, it was a little bit further off to the north, so we're seeing some forward progress. After I showed you that pressure map, things are starting to make a lot of sense all of a sudden. That is some really good news, and again, that could lead to stormier, snowier conditions in the back half of January especially. How about our GEFS ensemble here? Is it painting a similar picture? It kind of is, but it's a little bit different towards the beginning. I'd like to note this right here. This might not look too special to you all, but kind of taking a look at this, seeing this slant like this indicates a pretty strong storm system is going to be possible as we head into January 10th to the 13th. I don't want to say it's a forecast, but I think we're starting to lock something in. Maybe a decent cutter type storm system through this time frame. Again, you can assume all your cold air diving down like this, a bit of a warm surge here. You're going to have a low pressure system right here, and it's going to be pulling on off to the northeast like that. That's kind of why I wanted to point that out there real quick, but we're really focused on the end of our time frame here. Yes, our cold air really does dive south, and wow, we have a lot of Arctic air to work with in Canada and the Arctic regions, getting really far south there. And so it's something we're going to have to look out for very closely. Our cold air sags south. Our -2 degrees Celsius line kind of goes like this. So, definitely would like it further south, but this is starting to look quite favorable if you want snow for your southern locations. So fingers crossed, right? And our European extended ensemble here definitely shows that. It has moved our snowfall mean even further to the south now. So promising signs are looking a little bit more possible. Not likely, but possible in the back half of January. I'd like to note that, and potentially beyond that as well. And with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community, and share this video with friends and family on social media. Also, feel free to leave a comment in the section below if you found this video informative or if you enjoyed it as much as I did recording. I actually kind of love talking about upper air patterns a bit. It's just so fascinating how everything is one one big system. It all moves around like a bunch of gears kind of turning, so pretty fascinating stuff. You all have a wonderful night, everyone. Stay very weather aware out there in your Great Lakes. It looks quite serious. And I'll see you back here soon. Maybe tomorrow night, but since it's New Year's, we'll have to wait and see.